This is the biggest iPhone ever made, featuring a new non-button called camera control. I've been using it daily since its launch and even shot a short film with it. In this review of the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I'll lay out my pros and cons, telling you if it's worth your time and, most importantly, your money. At first glance, things look fairly familiar. If you currently own the iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max, this is definitely an S here. We still have the titanium frame, square camera bump, matte glass back, and flat edges. However, once again, this is the biggest iPhone to date. Apple has increased the size of the Pro models this year, pushing the Pro from 6.1 to 6.3 inches and the Pro Max from 6.7 to 6.9 inches. Coming from the Pro Max last year, the difference is negligible in hand. With larger hands, I tend to embrace the extra screen real estate. And if you're coming from one of the smaller phones of years past, you'll definitely notice the jump in size. If you're on the fence, I'd recommend going into the Apple Store and giving this a test drive before, of course, spending your money on it. When it comes to colors, don't be fooled by the marketing hype. Desert Titanium isn't groundbreaking. It's yet another pale gold masquerading as a hero color. Perhaps it's just me, but it feels like we see this shade every other year with only slight variations. The difference, barely noticeable. On the non-Pro side, there is a plethora of cool colors that we all wish would make their way to the Pro line. Ultramarine is this year's standout color for the iPhone, but let's get back to the Pro Max. The second benefit of having a larger phone is its beautiful, expansive screen. This size is perfect for both media consumption and content creation. Whether you're watching YouTube videos and craving that immersive experience or filming a video and need a large viewfinder with ample space for on-screen controls, this is the way to go. Up front, we have the 6.9-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display with incredibly thin bezels, and the screen size increase is largely due to the reduced bezel size. The front of this phone is nearly all screen. Going Pro also gets you the 120Hz ProMotion refresh rate. Since I've gotten used to 120Hz, I can immediately tell when I'm using a 60Hz display. However, my wife can't tell the difference, and I bet most people can't either. You also get a peak brightness of 1600 nits when viewing HDR content and an impressive 2000 nits for outdoor visibility. The highlight of this ultra bright display, however, is the ability to dim it all the way down to 1 nit, perfect for late night viewing. The always-on display and dynamic island are still present 2 years later, but I rarely use either. The dynamic island was controversial when introduced with the iPhone 14 Pro and has been somewhat neglected by both Apple and third-party developers. While it occasionally displays useful information, it's not a feature I actively seek to interact with. The camera system sees the biggest upgrade this year, especially when it comes to the new camera control feature, but first, let's discuss the camera sensor improvements. We now have a 2x fusion camera mode that uses pixel binning, converting the 48 megapixel main to a 12 megapixel. So whenever you select 2x, instead of cropping in on the 1x sensor, it's actually bending those pixels down to 12 megapixels and giving you a higher resolution image for the 2x. It's supposed to look better than simply cropping in the 48 megapixel image digitally, and while it's, a bit sharper, the difference is minimal in my opinion. The most significant upgrade is to the ultra-wide camera this year, now boasting a 48 megapixel resolution. This vastly improves the macro mode's quality. On the 15 Pro line, switching to macro mode meant a noticeable drop in quality, and a problem that's now been solved. I wish the telephoto lens had received the same upgrade, but I predict that'll come in next year's iPhone 17 Pro. All right, real quick editing Courtney here. I actually wanted to take a quick break from, tech court and actually tell you guys about a short film that I actually did on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's called Fragile, and it's pretty much about health, family, and taking those steps, or that one more step to personal growth and achieving those benchmarks that you have for yourself in your life, and keeping the things that are important to you. But yeah, without further ado, I'm going to show you this short film that I shot completely on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and also with some moment lenses that we'll talk about a little bit after, but watch the video.
it really enough? Giving my heart and my soul, but still don't feel like enough. Feeling inadequate, still getting after it. Trust me, the feeling is tough. Feeling is rough. Hold on a second, I'm thinking too much. Really wanna flow like water, but I don't drink it enough. Spending more time with my daughter. Really enjoying the innocence. Teaching her mind omnipotence. All of the things I never been taught. Stuck in my mind. All of these thoughts throwing me off. But hold that thought just for a second. I got 2 incoming calls.
Tell me that I am enough. Tell me that I am enough. Tell me that I'm not too much. Tell me that I'm more than fragile. Tell me that I'm more than fragile. Tell me that I am enough. Tell me that I am enough. Tell me that I'm not too much. Tell me that I'm more than fragile. Tell me that I'm more than fragile.
So yeah, tell me, what do you think? I actually shot all that completely on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and it's really amazing what you can do with the phone in your pocket nowadays. If you wanted to get into content creation or shooting short films, you're like, you know, one device payment plan away from a blockbuster, because these phones are really capable, especially on the video side when it comes to the iPhone, being able to shoot directly to SSDs, you know, Apple ProRes 422 10-bit log. It's pretty amazing. And but yeah, Moment sent out the T-series lenses for that video. I used their Moment case and it worked beautifully. I really like the characteristics that the Moment T-series adds to the video, like the little flares that you saw. Some of them, one flare was added in post, but the other flares that you saw, like the amber flare, I put it on screen now, the amber flare in certain shots was really cool. And my friend Stevie actually helped me film that fitness portion and family portion of that video. Outside of that, I filmed everything in my apartment with a tripod and, you know, a couple lights and my wife. So there's that. But yeah, that story was, you know, a little bit personal. You know, I talk about things like that a little bit on the channel, like sleep apnea and how I use tech to monitor those things. And we all have personal goals and things that we work towards, especially in, you know, health and family and spending time with people that are important to us. So I figured that'd be a cool way to document it. I think we're going to be incorporating that type of narrative or visual example in all my iPhone reviews going forward, or any review of any device that is like a pro video kind of thing. I figure I'd definitely put it to the test and see how it performs. But yeah, let's get back to the tech stuff. Let's get back to the review. Once again, let me know what you think down below in the comments, and thank you, Moment, for sending the lenses out. But let's get back to it. Let's get back to it. Most of the upgrades this year extend beyond the hardware to include software enhancements. We now have control over tone curves and unique color profiles called Photographic Styles. As someone who enjoys editing photos in post-production, this feature excites me. While we already have apps like Darkroom, the ability to natively manipulate tone and colors at this level is pretty impressive. The only improvements I'd like to see with Photographic Styles are more control over hue shift and also the ability to save presets. This would provide a Fuji-like experience on my phone, which I am completely ready for. You can apply these adjustments in real time also, both on screen and with the new camera control button. However, camera control in its current state feels somewhat premature given that we don't yet have Apple Intelligence. This button's placement is kinda off, and although I wanted to use it more, I often just find myself defaulting to the on-screen controls, and I'm really resisting the urge to label this as a gimmick until we fully assess its usefulness with Apple Intelligence. One new problem that I noticed that was introduced with the camera control button is the fact that when you go to actually use it to take a photo and use it as a shutter button, sometimes some micro jitter or a shake is introduced when you actually press the shutter button, which is something that you normally see on cameras that have like no optical image stabilization or like really slow shutter speeds. But it's just something that I noticed, and of course you can try to counteract this issue with, you know, adjusting your camera settings, maybe not shooting pro raw so you have the fastest shutter lag, or, you know, the least amount of shutter lag. And then also you can go into accessibility settings and actually change the firmness and how much you have to press the button in order to take a photo, and you can change it to be lighter or firmer. But it's just something that I noticed in a new issue or problem that was introduced with the camera control button. Not only is this the biggest iPhone, but it also boasts the longest battery life of any iPhone ever made, or so Apple claims. While it hasn't been long since its release, I have to agree the battery life on the iPhone 16 Pro Max is significantly better than what I experienced on my 15 Pro Max. I've been able to get 6 to 7 hours of screen on time from the 4685 milliamp battery, which is impressive. Keep in mind this is with heavy usage, even while powering external SSDs and shooting a short film, so I'm not really mad at the performance at all. I hope to get closer to the estimated battery life of 8.5 hours that's, being reported by all these outlets once it's optimized for my average usage. But for now, 6 to 7 hours is satisfactory for heavy usage in my opinion. With the new iOS 18 update, Apple has introduced more charging limit options. I've decided to use the 95% limit to see how it affects my battery health over time. As many of you know, if you follow me on social or I've talked about it in the videos, the iPhone 15 Pro Max battery health, by the end of the year, I got down to 88% battery health, which is an average of 1% degradation each month. So I'm hoping that this year is different. Apple has also improved charging speeds for both wired and wireless MagSafe options, making it closer to Qi 2. However, I typically just trickle charge overnight, so I'm not too concerned with fast charging my phone. So why upgrade to the iPhone 16 Pro this year? If you're coming from the iPhone 15 Pro, you might want to hold off. The improvements are minimal, at least until Apple Intelligence rolls out. We don't know how things are going to shake up. The exception might be for professionals eager to test the limits of this year's camera, although the iPhone 15 Pro Max is still very impressive. For those with pre-USB-C iPhones, especially power users or pros, it's worth considering an upgrade this year. As a rule of thumb, if your phone is 4 generations old, this year's model could be a significant step up for you. However, always consider your budget and needs, and if your current phone meets your requirements, there's no rush to upgrade. Now let's zoom out and survey the landscape. Now, while 9 out of 10 iPhone users will likely upgrade to another iPhone, the Android marketplace is continuously improving. For those curious about the other side of the fence, my top recommendation is the Pixel 9 Pro XL. It boasts better battery life, a brighter screen, and an impressive camera. Moreover, its design is remarkably iPhone-like for an Android device, so it will be a comfortable transition. To summarize it all up in a few words, the iPhone 16 Pro Max is impressive, yet incomplete. Apple Intelligence's impact on daily use remains to be seen, leaving me, or really anyone else out there, unable to fully evaluate this phone. The camera control feature feels hampered without AI integration, and given the 15 Pro Max's excellence, it's challenging to wholeheartedly recommend its successor. But that's about it for me, guys. That's my 2 cents. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. You should definitely be subscribed by this point. On screen, you're going to see a couple options. One video is one that YouTube wants you to watch, and the other is one that I think would be pretty cool. But until next time, it's been a pleasure. Stay fresh. Peace.